Welcome everyone, Simon here from the Whales of Wall Street. We have a Hedera hash graph video here for you today. That is HBAR on the exchange. Guys, before we go into this one, do check out the other videos on the channel. Loads of different topics and discussions, as you already know. And of course, with this video, we're going to go straight into it. Two topics of interest for me personally. We're going to start off with the recent announcement of the COFRA holding integration of the governing council. So those that don't know, Hedera has a massive consortium of a variety of organizations, to be honest, that are the governing council that make decisions of how Hedera should be operated and progress itself in the years to come. The likes of Google, for example, on there. COFRA Holding is a very old company, but what's really interesting about this is if we think about the whole ecosystem and how more and more of these projects are trying to intertwine with many different sectors across the board. And, you know, we've covered so many different projects on this channel that kind of narrow themselves down to a specific sector. There's never been too many projects that really dab into a multitude of sectors in one hit and have such a powerful backing, an organization or a consortium, if you like, behind it. So Hedera's governing council has added COFRA Holding, and they will work to create innovative blockchain-based solutions on Hedera. Okay, so this is the interesting part, primarily focusing on areas like supply chain transparency and tokenization, but also the COFRA Holding has an interest in sectors including real estate investment, sustainable food, clean energy, fashion retail, private equity, and asset management. Now, you know for a fact that if you have been watching our channel for some time, we cover pretty much all of those sectors, especially relating to tokenization and certainly blockchain integration as well. For me in particular, we did mention in a few videos back of Hedera about the real estate mechanism and opportunity. We cover a multitude of projects in that vicinity, but it was very interesting to see Hedera moving more and more into that particular kind of market. We know that obviously, you know, fashion retail in general is absolutely huge. The opportunity for things like NFTs, digital assets, digital ownership of, you know, produce, clothing, commodities, you name it, right? All within that links nicely into sustainable food elements as well. And clean energy, well, we have a few projects like Power Ledger and Energy Web that we talk about, but my point being is that Hedera is really building a very big picture here of all the different areas that it can get involved in, and that's probably a big credit to the governing council that they have been creating in the background, where they have the opportunity to dip into these various areas. Before I go into the other topic, which is also very interesting, I just wanted to have a quick momentous conversation around COFRA Holding in general. So one of the big pieces that I just picked out here was around ESG. Now, this to me is a very similar terminology to CSR, corporate social responsibility. Something when I first started in marketing was very big thing that if you had a website, you had to have like a social page or you know, trying to basically identify that you recycle and you go for the environment, you've got ISO compliance, etc. But as this has evolved, of course, the narratives around climate change and all of these other things, ESG is in my opinion, the evolution of the old CSR. This also like brings it into a multitude of different companies, organizations, sectors. It really does create that kind of umbrella effect. So environmental, social, and governance aspect is what is interesting to me. Governance, particularly from a DAO perspective, if you like, or even just indeed governance through the use of crypto is important. We also know the environmental aspect and also the social aspect that blockchain can really enhance. So it's a really interesting pairing in terms of a partnership. But also it just mentions here, of course, about the UN Principles for Responsible Investment, UNPRI. This is heavily related to UN's initiative around sustainable development, sustainable goals, all of these aspects to it as well. When you loop that around with the story around Hedera was that it was supposed to be clean, safe, transparent, sustainable, and green. It really does fit the picture well, in my opinion. So it's worth guys looking at this website, because it does really delve into, this is COFRA Holdings website, by the way, the different areas that they cover and how they got into that, and what their perception is within those sectors. So do check this out, guys, because it's really interesting, and it does intertwine the reasons why this is kind of partnership and integration, or indeed being added to the council, has occurred. So I'll try and leave those links in the description for you, but I think this is a really, really interesting move, and I think that this is a really powerful, strong addition to the council for sure. So that's the first part, guys. The second part is a more recent update relating to diamonds. Okay, so we covered Diamond, or you could call it Diamond, I guess, through the LCX exchange platform recently, where they were looking at the tokenization of diamonds. What I didn't really think about or look into or research too much at that time was the application of tokenizing diamonds, but also the market value, the opportunity. So me as an investor, why am I interested in this particular area? Not necessarily diamonds, but the use of blockchain, the use of projects or technologies like the Hedera network to power, to process, to verify this particular commodity, this particular material. It's arguably carbon, isn't it? Diamonds. So we'll get on to that point in a minute as well, because that's very interesting. But here, Diamond Standard, okay, so this is the huge regulator around the world of diamonds, the verification process, etc., have started to utilize the Hedera network services. Okay, so this is they call it the ending phase, but this is basically that kind of ending point where someone is buying, they want the verification, they want that secured, in the instance of holding the verification, holding the validity of it, the value, of course, in a transparent way. Keep those points in mind, because this relates to the reasoning beyond that. What I didn't know when I was looking at the Diamond initiative through the LCX platform was the market value. Okay, so diamonds we know are very expensive. We know that people have them in necklaces and rings and this, that and the other. We know that they're mined, etc. So for me, I knew that diamonds are always very expensive. However, I didn't realize that from a trading perspective, it's actually very minimal. And if you think about all the big metals out there, gold, silver, of course, being the predominant ones, as well as a few others, of course, this is the crazy figure, right? So a total world supply of $1.2 trillion, that's a lot of money. Only 1% of that whole entire world supply is used, or at least utilized, for trading or investment purposes. And I was quite staggered by that. And then I thought, okay, well, actually, if I was to go out and buy diamonds, I'd go to my local jewelers or something, and that's very minimalistic, right? On a ring, a bracelet, whatever, albeit that it might be high value diamonds from where they've come from, etc., the value on the market. But if I was to go and buy, say, a big chunk of a diamond, or a bar of a diamond, where on earth would I go, and how much would this cost? And one of the really key points about this whole market opportunity is the fact that we argue, well, we trade gold, or have as a society traded gold for, well, hundreds of years, you could argue, maybe longer, who knows, but certainly in the last maybe 100, 200 years, from the train robbers, etc., all the way to now, gold has been a big commodity in the world, especially something that people go to and leave throughout various economic downturns and upturns. Same with silver. I always have this running joke with the WhatsApp group to be like, show me your bar of gold that you own. And a lot of people don't have them. They just go, oh, I invest in gold. And then you're like, well, where is it then? Like, I want to see it physically. It's always an interesting argument when we're especially talking about tokenization and digitalization of assets, and particularly physical assets as well, or PNFTs they call them. So this was really interesting to me, because now there's hardly any awareness of the opportunity with diamonds unless you've got them on your wrist or your fingers, whatever. Arguably, if you're very rich and in that fortunate position, or you may have had hand downs of it through family to accumulate or indeed own some form of diamonds, but in these big capacities at an investment level, there's a huge opportunity to build the awareness and also the opportunity significantly to provide not just maybe utility within blockchain, but the ability to also have the opportunity to get hold of diamonds in a more accessible way. Accessible is the word I was actually looking for. Bit long stringed out, that was. So with Diamond Standard now utilizing their network, okay, it says here, with relation to the development of regulator reviewed and totally autonomous procedure for the procurement of real-time diamonds right through to tokenization. Diamond Standard sources its diamonds from listed suppliers over the world, which is kind of the point earlier about your diamond costs, etc., can determine where they come from. But more importantly here, these are then transferred to the International Gemological Institute for completing the process of certification after careful study. Now, again, keep that point in mind, because when we're talking about the validity of a diamond, the utilization of things like artificial intelligence becoming very interesting indeed, to the point where actually you may not have to physically go there to see the diamond or physically take your diamond to a what are the people that find the prices? I'll come up with the word in a minute. You go and get it valued, right? A valuer. That's an easy one. So with that opportunity of AI and algorithmic data, there's an opportunity for this to be validated in a digital format, and that can be imprinted in blockchain, and you as an investor have arguably a peace of mind that you've bought this on an exchange. Arguably, yes, you can get a physical one, and we'll go into that in a second as well. The opportunity for things like the QR codes, the NFC tags to be built into these, so you can keep track of them. You can have all the information about the diamonds that you hold on this NFC card that is related to the coin or the bar that you buy, which you can take with you as a proof, if you like, of what you own. Now, what's really interesting here is that Diamond Standard have, through the Hedera network, got the spot market, the ability to, for example, here you have to get KYC done, obviously, to get an account, and I've set one up. I'm still in the process of being reviewed and whatnot, but you can see here there's an opportunity to essentially purchase a coin or a bar. Bitcarbon we'll talk about a bit more in a second, because this is heavily related to some of the intuition behind how these diamonds are made up as a fractionalized tokenization asset. But there's an opportunity here in the exchange to utilize USDC, to buy the Bitcarbons, to buy the bars, to buy the coins. And you can see the values here at their current prices, obviously slightly down on the weekly change, but when we compare this to gold over a long period of time, you can see that actually it does withstand very well. This is some data here from obviously 2020 to 2023. You can see there's an 80% increase on diamonds, and obviously a slight reduction on gold, not significant, but you can also see the comparison with existing big markets. But you could argue that these markets are very fruitful. They are very, they're all over the place. Everyone kind of knows them, whether you're in investments or not. You tend to know those kind of wordings, or at least know what gold is. But again, that big point that actually, if we create the demand higher for diamonds, this will obviously bring the price up even more. And if you own them at these lower prices, obviously you make a lot more profit. As awareness kicks in, demand kicks in. And I believe and feel that, especially with what I've been reading and learning about this whole thing, is that utilizing blockchain, the opportunity, the awareness, the accessibility will absolutely massively increase that opportunity over the years to come. And of course, those that follow Hedera or get more involved in blockchain and cryptography and all these kind of things, to realize there's an opportunity to have access to diamonds in this capacity for investment, for buying and selling on a market. This is a crucial point, that there's a huge market, $1.2 trillion, guys. This is huge. And one of the points here, again, ESG, which is exactly what you just mentioned, through the partnerships that they are building with the likes of COFRA. We can talk about the ESG element of it, about being environmental, social and governance ethos. It's all linked together, guys. The whole narrative is there to pull in all of these aspects together. So with that in mind, we talk about now the Bitcarbon element. So this isn't something that you can directly buy on random exchanges, DEXs, CEXs, or whatever. You have to kind of buy it through the area of Diamond Standard, so this is something you can buy as on the spot market, as I just mentioned. Current price, I believe, $1 per Bitcarbon. So if I just revert back to this here, after seeing the success of the tokenization of the commodity offerings on the Hedera network, the team at Diamond Standard are very excited about the launch of their latest Diamond investment option, Bitcarbon, which is a fungible token based on Diamond Standard's physical coins and bars. The Bitcarbon token is backed by a dynamic pool of the commodity, and they enables fractional investment opportunities. For example, a single Diamond Standard physical coin will be worth 5,000 Bitcarbon, and a physical bar will be worth 50,000 Bitcarbon. Bitcarbon is intended to be an alternative to traditional stablecoins, which are subject to seemingly continuous regulatory pressure, but with some critical differences. Bitcarbon, the Diamond Standard commodities, and the associated blockchain-based digital assets are offered, issued, and administered by Diamond Standard Limited under a Digital Asset Business Act license, DABA, granted by the Bermuda Monetary Authority. So it's regulated, albeit in Bermuda, but that covers a lot of countries around the world. As part of their regulatory required oversight, DABA is internally audited by Deloitte. Now that, guys, at the end, is one of the pristine things there. A company like Deloitte would not get involved in any nonsense, that's for sure. So the utilization of this will help capture the interest of an even larger number of buyers. This is exactly the point I was making. This will help capture the interest of an even larger number of buyers and sellers of Bitcarbon and bring the opportunity of investing in diamonds to the broader market. This is exactly my point, guys. When we look at the vision of something and we look at it as an investment opportunity, I'm not looking for, we'd all love to make millions overnight, right, or within a year. But let's be realistic here. We're making an investment, and particularly something in a market that's early. And when everyone says, oh, I wish I got involved in this when it was early and this, that, and the other. Well, here's a really interesting opportunity. Now, I personally don't have loads of money flying around to go and buy bars of these things, but when I'm looking at coins, I could argue, well, okay, that may be possible to grab a few, but also an opportunity potentially through fractionalization to actually do this with other people and go, well, actually, if we can do this with physical NFTs or watches or houses, why not diamonds? And share that opportunity with others over the 5, 10, 15, 20 years ahead. Notice I didn't mention weeks or months, because I think this is something that, if we look at this logically, as that time develops, the market opportunity is huge. $1.2 trillion share of supply in a tokenization aspect. Even the Bitcarbon aspect of it is really exciting to me. And I'm really interested to know your thoughts and comments around this, because I think this is absolutely humongous. And as I said, it's not just the only one. You've got Diamonds, the LCX, you've got a few others popping up here and there. What does that tell you? There's obviously a generated demand for this, or certainly an opportunity for demand in the near future for this to be occurring. Very similar timing. That's the power of blockchain, guys. The opportunity to bring new markets to people all the way around the world, to anyone and everyone. KYC it on their spot market, and away you go. This is the crazy thing, right? So as we've mentioned, Bitcarbon features, backed by the physical diamond commodities, features a unique set of benefits. Loads here, I'm not going to go through every single one of them, but absolutely, this part, real value, no trust. Unlike stable coins or gold tokens, which digital twins, Bitcarbon come out with commodities delivered to the reserve. You never trust an issuer or an auditor. It's all these things that they're creating solutions for, and I think it's absolutely fantastic to see this in development. And I'll leave a link to these again. I read through this PDF. It's absolutely fantastic to read it. It was a really eye-opening experience. And the reason I'm not going to go into huge detail, guys, is because I got hold of the guys at Diamond Standard, and they've agreed to do an AMA with us, because I was like, guys, I would love to educate the audience. I'd love to educate myself more, because I think that, albeit that I really understand a big part of this, most of this, but I want to see the intricate detail about how they see this progressing. How do they really see this trend going over the years to come? And I'm really interested to see how they're getting on with Hedera and what their future plans might be. They might not say anything or give us too much information, but hopefully everyone will find that really valuable. I know I certainly will, and I think this is absolutely phenomenal uniqueness to this that I've never really thought about before. And certainly, as I said earlier, partially my ignorance of not understanding or knowing the opportunity that could arise in the diamond market, and the fact that it's now accessible, and the fact that it's utilizing itself through huge technological projects like Hedera Network, which we know are fantastic on all various different levels. The opportunity is here. So yeah, there's a multitude of articles and things that I've got here. How the system works, I think we'll talk about that in a bit more detail in the AMA, to be honest. But certainly with the use of IPFS, the utilization of APIs, etc. Again, here, carbon reduction, renewable energy generation, all these things linking together. It's my whole point. This goal for 2030 through the World Economic Forum, through the UN Sustainability Diversification Agenda, which was all signed 160 countries 2015, all of a sudden, all linking up with all these chains, with all these companies, especially Hedera in the instance that is governed on a council, that people like COFRA are now involved. I'm sitting there going, well, this is fantastic. And there's an opportunity, of course, to try and get Hedera at these lower price points that they are currently. And on that note, we will definitely jump into the chart in a second. But this is where I'm really interested. On-chain diamonds, guys. Another fantastic possibility here. Utility of tokenization, and now within a diamond market. Absolutely interesting. So guys, let us know in the comments below what you think about all this. I'm really intrigued. There's an argument to say that obviously this is not a massively new concept. It has been around for a few years. However, more recently, the network and the integration of Hedera has kicked in fully. So I'm really intrigued to see how this develops further and the opportunity that can arise from it now that they're using Hedera. So please do let me know what you think. Guys, let's jump into the chart of HBAR on the exchanges before we run out of time. So at the moment, the current price of 5.2 cents. We have hit lower recently back here on the 15th of May, about nearly 10 days ago, where we hit our buy area that we had on our limit orders for me, KuCoin. I do sometimes utilize the ledger as well with MoonPay, but for me at the moment, KuCoin's easy. That's where a lot of the capital is that I have these limit orders on. So I just leave them as they are. And I've still got these lower orders as well of around 4.7 cents and some cheeky ones down here at the lower 4 cent area. That's not to say that they're definitively coming down to this point, but we are in a bit of a bear cycle at the moment after that big run up in the whole market that we saw through January all the way through to sort of towards the end of February before the downward trend. I did say at the time, check the videos if you don't believe me, that this was a steep climb. I did anticipate that, albeit not overnight, we would see some action coming further down to retest these lower areas, which is exactly where we are now. And it really does confirm what we said in one of the really, really older videos towards the beginning of this year or end of last year, that we must really consider this big gap that we had back here. So this is taking us from January 2021 to all the big heights that we saw through the middle of 2021. But you see across the board, we're very much matching the current price points that we are at today. Exactly as I thought we would, because we need to retest these areas. There's not enough data points here to suggest that this is a support level and that we can go on our merry way upwards. So we must really, really take note of that. And it's proof is in the pudding every single time. And it's great to see that theory and that methodology coming into play. Not all the time, but certainly it's definitely in this instance something that was very applicable, as I said, because of that big gap throughout a year and a half period of time from January 2021 onwards. So we're currently playing around these areas. We had the recent low back here at the beginning of January at 3.8 cents. I would love it to come down to that area again. Selfishly, will that happen or not? Who knows? But again, the argument is that there's not enough data points there to suggest that it's fully confidently moving away from that area just yet. But to counteract that, we don't have a crystal ball, so I do DCA into this project as much as I can at these specific levels. I've even bought some manual ones today at 5.2 cents. I think that's a great buy point. The 5 cent mark that we came down to a few days ago, fantastic to see that as well. And I would love to at least see the 4.7 and the 4.3 cent marks come in as well. So I'll leave those markers in there for the next video that we do, see if those come in. But yeah, for sure, I would like to see a repeat of that. The other thing to look out for now is the sideways trading. This is not necessarily suggesting HBAR is a terrible asset or anything. It's just at the moment, confidence is not massive in the markets. We still got an economic downturn going on, a recession, interest rate hikes, all of these things. People need their cash. People are taking money out. But at the same time, it's being counteracted with people going, cool, this is stable. It's a bit safer than the risky up and down steep movements that we saw previously. And that's why people like myself have been taking that DCA opportunity manually, as well as the limit orders situations that we've seen on the fib charts as well. So that aside, to the point about the bear cycle element, that actually we could fail these areas over the next few days and potentially start retesting these areas lower, 4.5 cents or so. We look at the data on the right hand side here, down on the week, down on the month, down on the 3 months. It's the month and the 3 months that is of interest to me personally, because obviously, as I said, the upward trend in January was fantastic, but now it's leveling off. You're starting to see a bit more of a level off in the 6 month as well. So that's why I do still anticipate that we might see some lower areas coming in. Not definitively, but that's kind of where I'm thinking, and that's why I've got the limit orders in there. If it goes up, fantastic, we've made money, right? I'm personally a long-time holder of HBAR, so anything that is under 10 cents, sounds crazy, anything under 10 cents for me is an absolute steal for the future of what I believe Hedera could be. And I will argue that I could see Hedera getting to those dizzy heights that we saw back in February 2021 up here. We hit the heights of around 50 cents. I would not be surprised if we didn't see a $2 to $3 mark in 2025, maybe even a lot bigger. It really depends on the continuous development and how that awareness and demand kicks in over time. And then, of course, you get all the influencers, the channels, etc., as the bull cycles kick in to really push those over the edge even further. But yeah, as I said, I do anticipate that to be an area of interest to me, and certainly some of the first areas that I'll be taking profits off this one, because I have been buying HBAR for a long time, and even back in 2020 at these kind of roughly around these areas, actually slightly lower, and also around where it is now, to take advantage of those profits. So there's really big opportunities in the future, in my opinion. The RSIs at the moment, to confirm that stability and that opportunity for DCA, we've got 37 on the 14-day, just reflecting, by the way, to these indicators here, showing 46 on the 90-day. So it's not too bad. I would like to see that come down to around 44, 42 to make my next manual one. But actually, if that comes around to 42, 40, that's where I probably would see us dipping down again to the 4.7 cent mark. So let's keep an eye on that over the days to come. And all the other things as well. So that's kind of my place for Hedera or HBAR on the exchanges right now. Let us know what you're doing with your HBAR in the comments below. Are you long-term, short-term holder? Are you taking advantage of the short-term movements? Let us know. I'm intrigued to see everyone's different analysis and thoughts on this. But I'm going to wrap this one up because it's been 30 minutes. So apologies if this is dragged on, but I think this is a really interesting topic. It's really amazing integrations and another great utility of this fantastic network, and all the great things that it's moving towards. And we are holders of diamonds in the sense of Hedera. So thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next HBAR update video. Take care. Bye-bye.